Okay, Mr. Mayor, we are live, so you're ready to go at 6:30.
Okay, everybody, we are live on Facebook at this point. We've got about a minute and a half, and then I will start the public hearing. We are still looking for one council member. I see Brooke is on. Okay, I have got 6:30. Welcome, everybody, to the November 4th public hearing. This is a virtual meeting. This meeting has been posted. We've got 3 items on the agenda tonight for this public hearing. The first item is an ordinance 20-20-27, an ordinance annexing to the town of Port Royal approximately 34.43 acres of real estate located in Beaufort County, described as Beaufort County Tax District 100, map 31, parcel 10, 9, 5B and 4, and map 31C, parcel 81, located near Clydesdale Circle. You can see on the screen, the parcel is highlighted. Linda, do you want to give any kind of a short brief?
I would just say that, of course, the issue has been taken to the Metropolitan Planning Commission. They gave it a unanimous approval for recommendation for approval to the question of annexation. And secondly, to the question of T3 neighborhood zoning, they also gave a unanimous recommendation for that.
Thank you. Brooke, have we gotten any public comment on ordinance 20-20-27?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go ahead and leave that one open for the time being. We'll close them all at the same time, but we'll start the second one, giving people a chance. The second item is ordinance 20-20-28. An ordinance to zone approximately 34.43 acres of real estate property located in Beaufort County, described as Beaufort County, South Carolina, to be zoned as T3 neighborhood. That is the same property that we first talked about. And same issue, Brooke, no comments?
No comments, sir.
So we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on the 34.43 acres, ordinance 20-20-27 and ordinance 20-20-28. We are going to open another public hearing on ordinance 20-20-29. Way too many twos in these ordinances. An ordinance rescinding ordinance 97-20, ordinance 2015-9, and ordinance 2015-20 pertaining to the public records program and fee schedule for building permits and other various fees as necessary for the ease of operation and services of the town of Port Royal. The aforementioned ordinance shall be replaced with ordinance 20-20-29. Van or Linda, quick brief on that for the public?
Yeah, just we noticed a couple of issues we had with the existing ordinance. We wanted to make sure that we covered up, which basically sections 13 and 14, which were deleted from the previous iteration of the ordinance, having more to do with the fees related to freedom of information. requests or submittals. And we wanted to make sure that we addressed that and included it. We did leave the section on parks the same. We felt like at this point, we needed to get the ordinance passed. And if Parks and Recreation wants to revisit the fees for the parks, they can do that and we can take them up at a separate time.
Very good. Brooke, has any comments come in on ordinance 2020-29?
No, sir.
Then I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing on ordinance 20-20-29. So that closes the public hearing section of tonight's meeting. And we're going to immediately go into our regular council meeting. This is our November 4th council meeting. Again, this is a virtual meeting. It is being streamed live on Facebook. Anybody who had any comments could submit them through Brooke at the town email. And our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And Darrell, could you please lead us?
Yes. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Darrell. And invocation, Jerry Ashmore.
Sure. Will you pray with me, please? Mighty God, thank you that you hear and you answer our prayers. Hear our prayer and be in the midst of our meeting tonight. Thank you that your presence calms the troubled seas of life and speaks peace to our souls. Give us clear minds and peaceful hearts. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item 3 on our agenda tonight is we have 4 sets of minutes that we need to approve. We've got minutes from our special meeting of October 7th. We've got minutes from our county council workshop on October 7th, minutes from the special meeting on October 14th, and minutes from our regular council meeting on October 14th. All of those minutes were in our packet sent to us. What is the pleasure of council?
I
make a
ma-
Mary
Sorry,
Beth,
Darryl.
did I hear Mary Beth? Mary Beth, did you make a motion?
Yeah. I did.
Thank you.
Sorry, Darryl.
Darrell, do you
I'll
have a
sec-
second then?
I'll second.
Very good. Any comments, deletions, or addition to the minutes?
None noted.
Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Sorry, because of the virtual, we have to do a roll call vote. And you know, I like to do the order so I don't miss anybody. Guess what, Jerry, you're first.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Darrell,
Darrell Owens, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Marybeth,
Mary Beth, I.
and the mayor's also aye. So we have 4 approved minutes from the meeting. Next item is we have a presentation from Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority, and we have a number of people on the screen. Joe, would you like to introduce your staff?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, good evening. Joe Mantua, General Manager for the Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority. We have with us tonight Kenneth Frazier, who's our Chief of Technical Services. We have Rebecca Bowyer, our Director of Engineering, and our Capital Projects Manager, Jeremy Sponsiller. They're going to be giving a update on some projects, particularly our galvanized pipe replacement. I think Sarah Linkamer, our Deputy GM, is also joining us over the phone. So thanks again for the invite, and I'm going to turn it over to Kenneth.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you everybody for joining us. We definitely love to hear from you as much as we possibly can. You're a big part of our community, a big part of servicing our citizens and making sure that we can bring the commercial businesses and the businesses we need to our town. So we really do appreciate that. And any other council members want to say anything before we turn it over to them?
Not this time.
Okay.
Kenneth, you're up.
Hi, this is Rebecca Bowyer. We sent over a presentation. Do you guys have that available to view?
Brooke,
Yeah, she's pulling it up now.
bringing it up
Okay.
now.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Bowyer. I'm the Director of Engineering here at Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority. I am not only new to the authority, but I am new to the area. So I've been here a little over 2 months now and got a lot to learn, but this is one of the projects that I've actually started learning on before you requested the presentation tonight. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about our galvanized water program here. We could flip slides. So just a basic overview of the galvanized program. Galvanized piping was used for numerous years for water services. And over time, it corrodes from the inside out. As you can see on the left-hand side here, that's very typical of what galvanized water lines can do over time. It causes water quality issues, discoloration, taste and odor. So we have a program here where we are replacing these old galvanized pipes with newer plastic pipes, typically PVC or C900. And basically, it really improves the taste and odor and water quality issues that some of the customers may be experiencing. Next slide, please. So this is a multi-phase project. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. So phase 1 and phase 2 are how we've named them. The first 2 phases were designed basically on the worst sections of pipe where we had the most complaints. So phase 1 is now complete. It's in this closeout stage. Excuse me. Phase 2 has been recently designed. It is out for bid and the bids actually open tomorrow. So we should be moving forward with these projects here in the very near future. The schedule for we'll open the bids. Typically, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to get under contract. That puts us in the middle of holiday season. So as soon as we get a contractor, an approved low bid, we will discuss with the contractor when we plan to move forward with this if we decide to wait till the beginning of the new year. And we'll send out notifications to the neighborhoods where we'll be working and also to the town and coordinate with you guys. And if there's any special coordination efforts that you guys typically use, we'll be glad to use those outlets as well. And then moving forward into future phases, those are basically more on neighborhoods and blocks of the cities, rather than doing just the one section of line that most needs it. We're going to look at some of the neighborhoods and areas of town that need it. So those will be coming in the future as we move forward. If you could flip the next slide, please. So this is a map of some of the recently completed water and sewer projects and some of the upcoming ones that are underway. So number 12, 13, 14, and 16 are these galvanized pipe projects that will be starting here in the next couple of months. And I believe there's one more slide. Yes. So again, we'll be reaching out to you. Jeremy Sponseller, who is our new capital projects manager, is also new to the authority and to the area. So he and I are working together right now to get our capital projects program moving for this year. So he will be reaching out to you because our next step starting the first of the calendar year is to start working on the next CIP. It's a 3-year CIP. So we'll be reaching out to the town and getting a list of priority projects and areas where you'd like to have a partnership there with Beaufort Jasper. And if there's any questions about the galvanized program, I'd be glad to try to answer those for you now.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the briefing. Any council members have any questions?
Just a quick question. That's 4-inch. Is that what you put in? That's a pressurized 4-inch line, just replacing it? Is that what I'm understanding?
Some of them are 4-inch and some of them are 6-inch.
Right. But it's all main line or a pressurized line?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you. And then the houses just come in off of that through laterals, I assume.
Correct. There will be service connections to each of the houses from there.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, welcome to Port Royal.
Well, thank you very much.
Where did you move from?
Rock Hill.
Good. We're happy to have you.
Thanks.
Any other council members have any questions?
Questions?
Everybody's good? Well, we can tell you, we really appreciate you doing this briefing. It's something that I feel that, maybe that we need to do a little bit more often. We can start talking about some quarterly briefings and some information that we think will be good for both of us. I mean, as much as everybody knows who Beaufort Jasper is, it's amazing how many calls we still get here at Town Hall, and we get about, the water, the sewer, and all those kind of issues. And the relationship really needs to be almost a symbiotic relationship between the town and the authority. And we look forward to kind of closing that. Very much look forward to your new capital projects and being able to sit down with you and give you some priority needs that I think that the town has as well. We think it'll be beneficial for all to understand that.
And Joe, if I could, just want to say, we love the opportunity to come on your meeting like this. We're happy to come meet with staff anytime. We want to work. We want to be a good partner and help provide water and sewer service to our community. So certainly let us know anytime, any information you need. And I think having a regularly scheduled meeting would be great. We'd appreciate that. And anything we can do to improve communications, let's do it. So thanks again.
Yeah, and I know we've got one of our chiefs on the line from the fire department, and I know they work very closely with you all the time. Ross, anything you want to add at this point, or you're good?
I'm all good. It looks good. I'm happy to see it.
Thank you. And
I may have missed it, Joe. When is this scheduled to begin, this project?
Rebecca, go ahead, please.
We will receive the bids tomorrow. We will take them to our board the 18th, I believe we'll take them to the board in November.
Okay.
Once we get that settled, we'll meet with the contractor. Not really sure if he wants to start the project in December right before the holidays, or if he wants to wait till January. So we'll get that scheduled with him. So by the first of the year, this should be underway, and we will give you notification to let you know when they actually plan to start this project.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Very good. Jeremy, I know you didn't say much. You're in the corner there on my screen. We're welcome aboard also. It's being the capital project manager, that's something that's a big responsibility for all of us. We have to maintain those assets and know where we're going in the future. So we look forward to work with you as well. If no council member has anything else, we'll thank the Water Authority for their time. Sorry it took a little bit to get this scheduled, but in this whole world of COVID and meetings, it's an interesting way to get things done. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, next item on our agenda is our council briefing. Van?
Sure. You probably noticed, if you've been around the Cypress wetlands, that we have started the pumping out process. We're going to do a little bit of clearing to stage some of that equipment. So that work is beginning. We will try to limit the impact of the noise of the pumping, but it is going to make some noise. The birds are going to fly away while we're doing this, but obviously this is part of the larger project, but it has officially begun. Second to that, I know Natural Resources of Beaufort County is kind of looking at the new stormwater manual, the new regulations that were routed through SoLoco. Staff and our consulting engineers are reviewing those recommendations and and the new standards, and will get us a report and some recommendations on what we can expect. There may be some things in there that we want to take a look at that might not be totally applicable to the town. But overall, I think the document is a good one, and will probably be very readily accepted by council. It's over 600 pages, so it is going to take some time, but we'll get through it. Other than the Cypress Wetlands project, we don't have anything really of any big significance stormwater-wise project going on at the moment. So next item, the 8th Street fence line and Madrid pond clearing has begun. We had the company out there today. They made pretty good work of the foundations and it started piling some of that material on site. Gray Ghost is working with them and is going to be clearing the other side of that fence line. And then that fence section itself is actually going to come out basically from the main gate all the way up to the pond at this point. And then the second phase of that work will start, we'll start clearing out the pond. And I think Gray Ghost will probably clear along that fence line as well. So it's opened up pretty good. If you get a chance, daylight hours, go and check it out. It looks fine. The appraisal process has started as we look into some property swap issues with that one remaining lot behind the shed. And that's something I'll bring to y'all more formally once we have the numbers in place. Next item, y'all are very aware of that. Once we get that document, those dates squared away, I'll get that back out to you. Old Fort project, Mayor DeVito and I went and met with the residents on site to discuss some concerns and kind of bring them up to speed with the scope of the project and what they could anticipate. Obviously, with the amount of material that's been moved to the location, there's been a lot of truck traffic. As a result of that, obviously, we've got to evaluate the resurfacing of Old Fort Road. But if you do get a chance and if the gates close, I'll be happy to take you back there and let you take a look at what O'Quinn Marine is doing for the county. It's pretty impressive. It's going to be quite a park once it's completed. It's obviously adjacent to the Fort Frederick ruins. So once everything is done in that area, it's going to be a very impressive park. Then, back from the main master plan back in the mid-90s, we'd always talked about the creation of an emerald necklace, if you will. And this is a part of that necklace. It was envisioned back then. So this is kind of the fulfillment of that master plan. So we're pretty excited about that. And just as an aside, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I went back there on Monday. And I guess the gazebo, is that going to be similar to what we have over there at Live Oak Park?
No, I think it'll be a little bit more ornate, maybe more. I haven't looked at it on the plan, but I think it'll be more of a shade structure more so than a gazebo, if you will. So
Okay.
Yeah. Just as an aside, the Department of Navy reached out to me to discuss, some educational tours and kind of an introduction to the Fort Frederick ruins and what's going on back there. So I did put him together with Scott, who's the superintendent of the national park here, and they are coordinating those efforts. And he's going to get them out there.
But we'll start.
What's that? I'm not sure who that was.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah. Anyways, so that's what we're working through right now. As far as the Old Fort project itself, they've got a little bit of a snag they're trying to work through on some land acquisition, whether there's what the value of the dirt is and what their commitment is to purchase it, which will basically impact the second phase of this project, which is the creation of that kayak launch and anything that's beyond the critical line. So that's something, there's some discussions we'll probably get involved with if we move forward. Any questions on that? All right. CDBG, just wanted to bring you up to speed real quickly. Obviously, we submitted the grant. There's some discussions. Grant application. Grant application for the improvements to the Paris Avenue corridor. They did have some concerns about the proximity of some commercial development at Anchor Park. I did send them a letter that kind of discussed our footprint that is still at Anchor Park. And there really was no commitment of dollars to significant improvements there. But I did include, obviously the Cypress Wetlands is adjacent to the Paris Avenue improvements as well as the Live Oak Park, both of which, obviously we're committing significant dollars to the improvement of Cypress Wetlands, about $500,000. And obviously we've done some master planning with the elementary school and the school district. So we've made a commitment to improve it. And I'm hoping that will satisfy those concerns. In your folders, you do have some renderings and some cost estimates related to potential construction of that seafood or shrimp facility in conjunction or in partnership with Gray Ghost. We are meeting, I believe, Linda, you're on the line. I think we're going to try to meet tomorrow or next week, I believe, with the consulting engineers to discuss some of those renderings and refine those budgets to see what we can bring to council and see how acceptable that is to y'all. Initially there were two different footprints for that facility. One was, about 1,900 square feet. The other one was about half of that. And how it was integrated into that multi-purpose building is something that we've worked on. We had concerns about the aesthetics of the initial submittal. So they've been revised and come back, and you probably get those that you can take a look at. So as we make some progress, as we get into more global discussions with Grey Ghost on other issues, obviously this will be something that's worked into those discussions. The audit has been completed. We'll make that presentation to council in January. They're going to send me an a PDF of the audit report, which I'll circulate to all of you, so you have an opportunity to read it, ask me any questions, or prepare any questions you may have of the auditors, so that they can answer them adequately. So Baynard Cove, we've been circulating in and out, checking to make sure everything is in compliance. Obviously, this is a project that's attracted a number of eyes. It is a subdivision. The work that they're doing is in compliance. We are routinely checking in on them, and making sure that our engineers and inspectors are monitoring that work. All right. Redevelopment Commission, we did have two submittals to the Port Royal Pride program. One was from Parent Woodworking for improvements to the shed, and the other was the Customs House, which is obviously located right behind Town Hall. Both of those were approved. The Parent Woodworking is the scope of the entire project of the exterior improvements is about $55,000. We cap these projects that can be submitted at 5, with us matching 2,500 of 5,000, and so they were able to kind of sector out what those landscape and other aesthetic improvements would be to satisfy the parameters of the program. And then the Customs House is doing some shutter repair work and some additional painting. So two pretty signature buildings along Paris Avenue. So I'm pleased that they are participating. We'd like to see more participation, but we'll take those dollars that we didn't use in the Port Royal Pride program and apply them towards the entryway sign improvements. We're getting the finalized designs that were recommended by the Redevelopment Commission, and hopefully we'll have those renderings and ready. They've also got something they're putting together for behind the main entryway sign, replacing the rubber-headed lady with a more nautical themed improvement, if you will. And I'll stop there. Traffic, I did ask the engineers to go back and take a look at the scope of work related to that speed table that we want to build adjacent to the police department near the Cypress wetlands. They were able to knock that back down. We also met on site with Tony and Jeff. They know very specifically where the 4-way stop is supposed to go. So that's next on the list. Jeff was out yesterday on election day. I informed him he was supposed to be off yesterday, but he decided to come out and paint the parking spaces adjacent to Port Elementary. They had called and had some concerns about that. But obviously, once we get the larger plan as part of the CDBG grant, we'll be doing a complete restriping of that entire area. The police department, obviously the traffic grant is in place. I've seen lots of blue lights in downtown Port Royal recently, which I'm pleased with. We have had some issues. Chief, I don't know if you've got anything you want to discuss with Wilson's efforts recently, but he's definitely been very visible and active. And I know you're there somewhere. I can't see you on my screen.
He has been.
Okay.
18 tickets this morning on Reball Road.
Wow.
18. Wow.
Get the
18.
word out. No speeding on Reboat Road. No problems.
Absolutely not.
No problems with that.
Perfect. And then the next item is we talked about the tool study, which brings me to a discussion that, because of the nature of these meetings, we probably want to explore a meeting to discuss the tool study and then some sort of presentation on the Old Fort project. And I think we were looking at some dates, maybe next week at the end of the week or the first part of the week of Thanksgiving, which I think is November 23rd. And I think we looked at, I think it was the 12th or 13th for next week. I didn't know if each of you could take a look at your calendars and see if any of those days might work for you. so that we can get this information out. Obviously, the tool study is pretty important, so we'd like to have as much participation as we can. And obviously, the Old Fort project is something that we would like the public to be aware of.
So we're looking at Thursday, the 12th, Friday, the 13th, or Monday, the 23rd is the way I'm understanding this?
Those were some dates that were available.
I'm open.
They all work for you, Darrell?
Yeah, they're all, I'm good on all of them.
Me too.
Maribet's good, Darrell's good, Kevin?
I'm good on the 12th and 23rd.
Okay, and Jerry?
Is that a virtual meeting, Mayor? Is that
I-
in person, virtual? What are the details on it? What time?
The timing we can set, and we make the decision whether it's virtual or in person. At this point, they have been virtual, whether we're in person, but I don't think, unless everybody's ready, are you ready to open up town hall to citizens for these presentations? Or are we going to do these all virtually like we have with the comprehensive plan? I think staff at this point would rather virtual, but that's, Van, jump in.
Well, that one thing I just thought about when we talk about being back in council chambers is right now that room is limited to 13 people. So there's 5 of y'all, plus me, plus Brooke. So you really don't have the space to accommodate the public really in a safe way at this point, particularly if it's going to be in the next couple of weeks. I just realized that as I was thinking about the number of chairs in there.
Mhm.
So it might be that at least that the public part of it would need to be virtual. I know that, that's not the ideal. We'd all like to be all in the same room and be able to point at boards and make suggestions, but I think that's kind of the limitation right now.
I understand. Okay. Any of those dates work for me with proper notice. I'm fine. I can make it work.
Yeah, and I think that your statement there, Jerry, is absolutely, we need to make sure we've got the proper notice out to the public. So so we're locked down 100% to the 12th and the 23rd. So as quick as you could check with the consultants and the county. Let's see if we can't lock one of those in tomorrow and then start a media blitz about what we're going to do on those dates.
All right.
Does that meet the council? Does that meet everybody's goal here?
I'm good.
Very good. Appreciate that. Appreciate you trying to find a way to make this work, Van.
Sure. And Porter's Chapel, we do have the National Park folks using the building at the moment. They are, if you've seen the display that's out front, if you've had an opportunity to go to the farmers market, they, like I mentioned previously, they are using it as a staging area when they are doing any sort of public information or potential. I don't know, they've started any tours, obviously, with the amount of work that's going on back there. But I think we're easing into it. I did talk to Professor Chip about the class that had been set up for the students assisting with the displays and some of the marketing at the Porter's Chapel. It is on for next semester. Obviously, they couldn't get it pulled together this semester, but he and I had that discussion, and he's excited about that. So the timing may work out well.
I know that I've heard council members in the past request some sort of a ribbon opening or ceremony, something on that. Any thoughts on trying to make that happen, maybe right around the first of the year and reaching out to the appropriate people for the renaming and what we want to do?
Yeah, I mean, this sort of thing, obviously the ribbon cutting would be outside and, we could stagger, there won't be many displays, obviously, at this point, but at least an acknowledgement that, the national park is using it. I think the signage that we had discussed is pretty straightforward. We just want to make sure we get the appropriate invitations out that former members of the congregation and Senator Hinckley's wife family could be available.
Right.
So council, everybody agree, we want to start moving forward with that sometime in the first quarter of next year to get that done?
Absolutely.
I agree.
January would work good for me. We get into February, my schedule gets kind of tight, but I can make January work. That's for sure.
Let's work hard on January then.
And Van, Senator Canson was real. He played a big role in just helping with this, and hopefully we can invite him as well. I believe he would like to be here for that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Mayor Murray was a big part of it. Former Mayor Murray was a big part of this as well.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah. It's a pretty big list of people that need to be at that one. So that's why I want to get moving on trying to figure that list out and get the invitations out and see if we can't herd them all together.
All right. I just mentioned real briefly, Naval Hospital personnel is very aware of the fence relocation that we've requested both on the front and the back, one for sidewalk and one for the national park. And they wanted me to know that they were very aware of it, and that if I needed anything, that they were working on it. And we didn't need to contact the legislative office anymore. They could interface directly with us. So very excited.
Well, then the contact worked. Let's move on.
Yep. Paris Island, nothing really new to report on this. I think we're going to cover this a little bit later as an agenda item. Tag fee, nothing really new here to report. Just wanted to keep it on your radar. We all know potentially what it could create in terms of annual revenue. Obviously, with CTC funds either being tied up or designated for other things, and the tag fees that have currently been expended, not in Port Royal, though collected in Port Royal, we're facing road repairs that are absolutely going to need to be done. And right now we don't have a significant revenue source to do those things. So I just wanted to keep that in front of y'all. All right. Local option sales tax. Managers have discussed a tentative timeline, maybe looking towards a 2021 vote. Obviously it's got to move through the legislative process at the county level to get it on the ballot in that time frame. And obviously there's other things that go into to educating the public on the local option sales tax and what its impacts could be. Obviously, with most of it being dedicated, I think it's 71%. Yeah, 71% goes at minimum to property tax relief, with the balance up to the discretion of council. Obviously, it was my recommendation at that time that those funds be earmarked for any sort of road improvements to include sidewalks as well as road resurfacing or construction. So I think that's something that y'all probably need to follow over the next few months to see if it's going to be able to be put on that ballot in 21. Short-term rentals, staff, we're running into some issues. We have no way to really reconcile what we're receiving in revenue against any sort of real list of addresses. It's kind of this nebulous check that says this is what was collected in the town of Port Royal for short-term rentals. I have spoken to the Department of Revenue about those concerns, as well as the Municipal Association. Basically, the DOR sees the submittals or what's submitted by the Airbnbs or VRBOs as almost like a tax return, that they don't really require a whole lot of documentation with that. Only when they potentially would be audited would they need to provide the backup. The problem that we have is that we have an example. We have one owner in town that is paid us, and then she said she's also paid the state the same fees and wanted us to refund it. Well, we have no way to reconcile or determine whether that is what actually happened, because we can't take the money from any specific check and apply it to her at her house or any other short-term rental. I know the city has worked out an arrangement with some of those providers to get additional information. Our lawyer, with the guy from DRR, did give me all the contacts. So I've instructed our attorney to reach out and create some sort of interim solution. But the reality is that, this is something that, any community that has VRBOs and needs to be worried about, because there's just no way of knowing what exactly we have or don't have. We can purchase the software to figure out which ones are actually VRBOs in the town, which might be worth the investment. But the reality is if that money is then sent to the state and is going to some sort of, I don't want to call it a black hole, but there's no way to figure out how to apply it. That's a problem for us. I'd like to see this addressed legislatively. Maybe the state could, provide some income or some funding to create a piece of software to do this, because they're actually shorting themselves as well, because they are collecting state accommodation tax also. So that's just a a long explanation for a subject that we've been discussing for a number of years.
Oh, Van, I know this isn't the first time you've brought up the software, and you've kind of hinted that you think it's beneficial. Maybe it's time to take it beyond that and figure out exactly what it's going to cost and get some presentations for council of how it would benefit us and bring it to us on a formal action. And let's make a decision one way or another. Let's get some presentations, show how it would look to us, what it would do, how it would benefit staff, and what is it going to cost us? And then we'll go from there. I think we got to move it to the next step. Council, any thoughts?
I agree.
I concur.
Okay, let's do that. Thanks, Van.
Garbage, couple things. Waste Pro has hired a governmental affairs person. I did have a meeting to discuss the concerns that we've had over the last few months about scheduling, about interface with their front office. They are aware of it and are addressing it. I did meet with their staff, also discuss a change in schedule, which we've talked about, and they are switching up both, I think it's shadow moss and picket fences to a different day to make sure that we can get all the town covered adequately and in the time frame that everybody expects. And so they were getting door hangers and making sure that the residents in that neighborhood were very aware of that change in schedule. And obviously we'll coordinate that with Sean through our social media accounts. I think it was the last one. Nope, a couple more. We're having some discussions about the end of the Smilax and Ron Road, and maybe getting an understanding of what potentially could happen on that side of the road and how that would impact that intersection at Edinburgh. So that's something that we're talking about. Hopefully I'll have some better ideas of what we can anticipate in the next few days, and I'll bring that back to council to discuss. There may be some decisions y'all have to make relative to Smilax and the kind of that no man's land at the end of the right of way, which is in essence become a long driveway that ties in several properties at the end of Smilax, as well as some undeveloped parcels. And then Ron Road, which runs between the Sea Island Apartments and what was the Coca-Cola plant. There's the property owner on both sides of Ron Road is the same. So some discussion of what would ultimately be the fate of Ron Road. And obviously the town has to play a role in that because I think we have the right of first refusal for Ron Road. So that's the status of that. I don't know if you guys have any questions about Ron or even Smilax.
Good at this time.
Okay.
Van, I thought we were going to the Christmas tree lighting. Wasn't that on your report?
It's on the agenda. It's on the agenda for Christmas. Yeah. Christmas discussions.
Christmas discussions. Very good.
Yeah. And then the last thing is the tool study, but I think we've covered that pretty well. We're just trying to get it scheduled. And that's all I've got for my briefing.
There it is. Okay. Council, have any questions for Van on his briefing? Anything you didn't get covered you need?
No, sir.
Seeing and hearing none. We'll move on.
Yeah, I have one.
Carol,
Wasn't there some discussion about the possible purchase of that portion of Smilax Road that you call it, that heads to the dead end leading to the trail?
Yeah, even as far back as 2007, we did a title search to try to figure out who owned it, or who had the right to own it, or how it would be resolved. And at that point, we had no clear answer as to who had any sort of rights, because typically what would happen in a road, there's property that's taken from the adjacent property owners, a right of way, and then a road is constructed. In this case, that did not happen. And so when you click on that end section where Smilax dead ends, it's virtually a no man's land. So the town has no more of a right to it than any of the adjacent property owners. And even if we prepared a quick claim, we really wouldn't have the right to take the road. And we really couldn't assign any rights to any of the adjacent property owners because we don't have any to give.
But isn't that considered an easement also to those property owners?
It would be an easement, and maybe as I don't know if I'm using the right term here, but a prescriptive easement or an access easement, because obviously they've been using it for decades to get to their property. But if it's abandoned or if it's owned by somebody, the concern that I would have is how do we ensure that those adjacent property owners still have access
To their property.
to that driveway to get out to Smilax or Ron Road and then to Vinay.
And the other piece, Daryl, just to point out, we need to remember is that the town has done some improvements to that road. We installed rock down that road and graded it for those neighbors. And also the town ran a water line down that piece of the road to serve Ridenhour, the easements through there. The Water Authority has connected to that water line off of their easement, the old railroad right of way. So that piece of property has an awful lot of, citizens that use it in one way or another.
Right.
Besides the fact of a surface walking over it, riding over it, and driving over it, it has underground utilities in it as well. So we've just got to bring it to some sort of resolution and make sure we all understand what that property is.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anybody got anything else? Then we'll move on to section 6 of our agenda, where we have the 2 emergency ordinances. As you know, we have been renewing these ordinances on a monthly basis for the masks. And we have to renew the emergency ordinances, allows us to have this electronic meeting. At some point, we may need to just change our own policies to make this allowable without an emergency ordinance. We'll have to discuss that and figure that out. But right now, we've got the 2 ordinances, which is ordinance 20-20-32, an emergency ordinance for the town of Port Royal, South Carolina, to reestablish requiring individuals to wear face coverings in certain circumstances in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and matters relating to thereto and severability. So that is our first one that we need to work with. What is the pleasure of council?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2020-32.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We've been hovering, Kevin, you've asked questions. We've been hovering between that 7 and 10% now for the last 30 days, which is great. We're finally down. Let's hope it keeps going and gets under that 5 and runs that 30 days. And then we can really have a serious conversation about where to go. So hearing nothing else, I'll call for the vote. The order has changed because people have left, but Jerry, you're still the lead.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Maribeth?
Maribeth, aye.
And Daryl?
Aye.
And the mayor is also aye. Thank you, everybody. The second emergency ordinance is 20-20-33, an emergency ordinance to reauthorize the emergency ordinance 20-20-26 related to electronic meetings and other matters there too. Remember, the electronic meetings also include our boards and commissions. So it allows everything, all operations of the town to keep moving forward. What's the pleasure of council?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2020-33.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Daryl. Any discussion on that ordinance?
This is on a month-to-month basis as well until you look further into it, correct?
But that one's a 60-day. Am I not correct? That's 61 days, Fan?
Hold on, I'm almost certain that it is. I think it is one of the 61-day ones.
Yeah, we chose to do the mask at a lesser rate, but the standard ordinance is 61 days for the emergency.
Hold on, let me verify
And
that.
I read it.
Both were changed for a monthly.
Yeah, this one's also to December 9.
Thank you, Brooke. So both are, Daryl, to beat your, both are 30 days, so we'll see them on a monthly basis at this point. Thank you, Brooke. Any other conversation? Hearing none, we'll go for the vote. Jerry?
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Maribeth?
Aye.
And Daryl?
Aye.
And the mayor's also aye. The next item of business, item 7 on our agenda, is second readings. The first ordinance that we have for second readings is ordinance 20-20-27, an ordinance to annex to the town of Port Royal approximately 34.43 acres of real estate located in Beaufort County, described as Beaufort County Tax District 100, map 100, parcels 10, 9, 5B, 4, and map 31C, parcel 81, located near Clydesdale Circle. We held a public hearing on this on this ordinance earlier tonight and received no comment from the public at that time. It's up on the screen. What is the pleasure of council?
If I'm in order, I move that we approve ordinance 2020-27.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. We won't open it up to public comment because we had the hearing tonight. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and follow the order. Now that the screen's up, I lost you guys, but you know the order.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mary Beth Hayward, aye.
Terrell Owens, aye.
Mayor's also aye. The next ordinance is ordinance 20-20-28. This is related to the same property, 34.43 acres of real estate located in Beaufort County. That's described in Beaufort County, South Carolina, to be zoned as T3 neighborhood. Once again, we held a public hearing on this tonight and we received no comment. Pleasure of council.
Move that we approve ordinance 2020-28.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mary Beth Hayward, aye.
Terrell Owens, aye.
Mayor's also aye. So that completes the 20-20-28. The next ordinance is 2020-29. And this is the ordinance rescinding ordinance 9720, ordinance 2015-9, ordinance 2015-20, pertaining to the public records program and fee schedule for building permits and other various fees as necessary for the ease of operation and services to the town of Port Royal. The aforementioned ordinance will be replaced by ordinance 20-20-29. We also held a public hearing on this tonight, received no comment. What is the pleasure of council?
I move that we approve ordinance 2020-29.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Darrell. Thank you, Mary Beth. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call the question. Jerry, get us started.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mary Beth Hayward, aye.
Terrell Owens, aye.
The mayor's also aye. That completes that ordinance, and I hope that makes it easier for everybody to understand the fees. Anytime we can incorporate that stuff and clean up, that's always a good thing. The next item we have is a first reading. We have a ordinance 20-20-34, an ordinance repealing it entirely Chapter 9 floods damage prevention of the Town of Port Royal Code of Ordinance and replacing it with the attached newly revised Chapter 9 flood damage prevention. Would you like a small presentation before a motion comes out? Linda, you want?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'll start off a little bit and then Linda can chime in. We, as participants in the National Flood Insurance Program, we're required to update our flood damage prevention ordinance, and that includes the new maps, if you will, of inundation, the panels that we use for flood for elevation determinations, and that's a part of this. And so it's one of the things that we absolutely have to do to make sure we're in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program. Linda, you got anything you want to add to that?
I would add some detail, as Mr. Willis said. This time around, we do this occasionally. This time around, we are inserting the date for the new maps. And that's going to be March 23rd, 2021. That's when they will come into being for us. Beyond that, it's pretty boilerplate. As a matter of fact, we're following the state model ordinance. We're keeping an eye on Beaufort County and the city of Beaufort also. We'd like to move these kinds of things forward in a uniform measure. So because of our jurisdictional boundaries, we want to all stay on the same page, and have very similar business in Port Royal, business in Northern Beaufort County, business in the city of Beaufort, pretty much together. So that's it in a nutshell. Be glad to answer any questions that folks have.
Council have any questions?
No, sir.
Procedurally, this will have a public hearing?
That's correct. We'll have a public hearing and a second reading to finalize it. We may delay that. We've got plenty of time. Remember that March date is kind of what we're aiming for. We want to have it in place by that time. But looking and waiting for the county, their process is much longer than ours. They have 3 readings, they've got subcommittees, et cetera. Although it did go through Natural Resources on Monday and was voted on and moved on up the line there. So we might not see it again. You might not see it again until January. But it is still going to be going forward. We're just going to iron through the details to be certain that we're all on the same page.
Very good. So the citizens should be watching out for our public hearing in case they have any comments, anything they want to add in. Kevin, did you have your hand up? Did you want to say something there? I'm sorry. Okay. Very good. Any questions for Linda before we move it to a motion? Hearing none, then we'll go ahead and anybody have a motion? What's the pleasure of council?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2020-34.
Second.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Mary Beth. So we have a motion to approve. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call the question. Jerry, can you lead us all, please?
Back up, I lost my place.
It's
Say
okay.
that again, please.
We need calling for the vote for 20-20-34.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Very good. Kevin,
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mary Beth, and then Darrell.
Mary Beth, aye.
Darrell Owens, aye.
And the mayor's also aye. So thank you, Linda. We'll follow this along and watch the process. I assume that if any reason it falters in one of the other ones, you'll let us know immediately. Next item is resolution 10-20-20, a resolution of the town of Port Royal, South Carolina Town Council also authorizing the town manager to enter into a memorandum of agreement with Beaufort County for the purpose of cost sharing for contracting of consulting services to develop regional affordable housing trust fund. Van, brief counsel.
Yeah, just real quickly, obviously, SoLoco is kind of the originating entity that pulled together the idea of creating or kind of reinvigorating this affordable housing trust, or at least affordable housing efforts. This is a formalization of our participation in that process. And this would authorize me to participate in MOA, which you're going to discuss a little bit later, as well as participate financially up to $5,000 for the consulting contract. And I know, Jerry, you were at the affordable, I think, housing meeting today, correct? And I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to that.
No, it's the first meeting we've had in, gosh, since a year, probably since last October due to COVID. So we're just getting reinvigorated, if you will. A lot of community leaders were there from the city of Beaufort. You had council members from Beaufort County there. You had developers in the room. BJWSA was there. So there was a good contingency of people. some representatives from Beaufort Memorial Hospital. And the meeting was led by one of our own residents, Wendy Zara. So I was happy to be a part of that. There's some, obviously there's some needs here in this, and not only Beaufort, but in this region. And we've got to, as a municipality, look to see how we can navigate through this and offer some affordable housing, workforce housing, attainable housing, whatever you want to call it. We've got to step up to the plate on this.
Very good. Because this is the first time hearing this one and seeing this, and this will not require a public hearing, I'm just going to ask if there's any comment from the public on this resolution.
No, sir.
Very good.
Van,
Yes.
Darren,
now I recall last year when we started this last year, so this is an annual fee, correct?
Well, no, we're not sure where it's going to be. This will be the consulting fee, I think, to pull together the plan.
Okay,
And
I
then
thought we did
beyond
this,
that-
I thought we did this when we initiated this about a year ago. That's what I thought we had, because they had decided every municipality what our portion was going to be, and then they later added in Yemassee to this as well. And so I thought we had already crossed this bridge.
No, I think this all got, with COVID and everything that happened, this never came to fruition. And so this is just the consulting contract. Now, when we get beyond, once the consultants come up with, a plan of action to move housing forward, there may be a request of us to participate in some sort of way. Right now in the current housing fund that we have, which is an enterprise fund, in your financials, we've got about $50,000 that's been earmarked for housing. And that was a part of that revolving fund program from 20 plus years ago on a number of houses that the town participated in the construction or renovation in. And it is a revolving fund. Now we have a bunch that have been paid off, but we have others that, we've written off as bad debt just because we had to. So we have some funds available beyond the participation and just this $5,000 commitment. But I think one of the challenges that they're going to have with affordable or workforce housing is location and finding places that they can make it work. And, that'll be something that I think we'll be really involved with. And, the may be that we leverage the dollars that we do have in the existing housing fund working with Soloco and the other agencies participating, and maybe come up with a workable concept for affordable housing.
So they've abandoned the terminology obtainable housing, because I know that was a big time on obtainable, because affordable could be anyone depending on if it could be $1 million house could be affordable to some people.
Yeah,
So,
well, I think you're using the most recent label for
terminology.
Yeah.
Obtainable.
Yeah. And because that's the pattern that you see. I mean,
And workforce
there's certain assumptions that are made about the people that need to live in this housing. But the reality is that, there are teachers, and other professions that, housing costs in this market can be ridiculous.
Yes.
And, a price point that works for a lot of people, just that, the inventory is just not available.
Limited. That's true.
Well, let me ask you a question. Can we look to some of the quasi-governmental agencies in the area to look for some relief on some of the fees or impact fees or tap fees or something like that to help with reduced costs? Can we look throughout the area to see if there's any government-owned land that may be prime for development? Can we look at some of those areas maybe as a cost savings?
Yeah, I think you'd be interested. It's interesting if you really go and check out the tax rolls or the property rolls to see what is owned by government entities. You'd be surprised. I mean, there is a significant amount of property that's owned. Even the town owns odds and ends from when we owned the water and sewer system at one point. And there might be enough property there that could be used for housing. And so that is one of the challenges. And I think most of the impact fee ordinances have some exceptions that allow for the reduction in the fees if it's tied to affordable housing.
Okay. It's interesting. Daryl, I was like you. I thought we had done this about a year ago and we contributed a portion a year ago. I was right there with you, Daryl.
Yeah, I kind of thought that when the county came down and talked about it, and we talked about with it being for like the fire police, that have to go, that live in Bluffton because they can't afford to live here.
Okay, well, Jerry, considering you sit on that task force and you've been in those meetings, would you like to lead us with a motion?
Sure, I would make a motion to approve resolution 10-2020.
I'll
We have a
second it.
motion. And Daryl, did you second that?
I second it. Aye, yes.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this very important item? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call the question. Jerry, please get us started.
Jerry Ashmore, aye.
Kevin Phillips, aye.
Mary Beth Hayward, aye.
Daryl Owens, aye.
And the mayor's also aye, so that is unanimous. And then the next item of business, item 10 on our agenda, is we've got a memorandum of understanding for military installation resilience review. So Van, are you briefing us on this?
Well, we actually have Sabrina Graham with Low Country Council of Governments. They were the agency that obtained this grant, and they are requesting our participation. And I'd like to give them an opportunity to discuss the grant that they secured and what our potential role could be.
Sabrina, I see you down there now. Welcome.
Thank you, and hello to everyone.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to attend your meeting and to share information with you about this grant that the Low Country Council of Government has secured from the Department of Defense. This military installation resiliency review is to make sure that our Marine Corps Air Station and Paris Island will be with us for a long time. So we want to study in partnership with them as well as with the areas, the communities in the area, to make sure that we can provide whatever necessary infrastructure or supplies. You all mentioned housing, which is certainly a topic of discussion for the installations as well, but to just study to see what those needs are and to make sure that we, as much as possible, the surrounding communities, which includes Port Royal, the city of Beaufort and Beaufort County, can be able to assist with meeting those needs. Our recently hired planning director, Stephanie Rossi, is on the line with me as well, and will be leading this as a facilitator from the COG. The grant award from Department of Defense is $475,000. That's providing 90%, and there's a 10% match that we have asked, 50% from Beaufort County, and then 25% from both the city of Beaufort and the town of Port Royal. So we are seeking your partnership in this effort, not only funding, but also in terms of this review and study to make sure that we can, again, meet the needs of our military installations. And the requested amount, the 25% that we're seeking from the town of Port Royal, is $11,878, the same as the city of Beaufort, who has given approval, and we've received a verbal approval from Beaufort County and are in the process of getting that MOU signed as well. Stephanie or I will be happy to answer any questions for you.
Council have questions?
No, sir, I don't at this time.
Not hearing any. So Van, what do you need from us?
I just need a motion to allow me to enter into this MOU with LOCOG.
Very good. What's the pleasure of council?
Van, where would this money come from?
Well, there's a couple of potential line items under the legislative budget. There's a contributions, a line item. It could come from, and that's more than likely where it would come from. We have the same line item under the executive, which is the administrative budget. So, but obviously, you know, it's a little under $12,000. But considering the fiscal impact of the installations, it's probably money well spent.
I agree.
Agreed.
Well, I'll make a motion that we authorize Van to enter into MOU negotiations with the Military Installation Resilience Review.
Thank you, Daryl, for that motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary Beth. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion before we call for question?
No, sir.
Hearing none. Jerry, lead us off.
Jerry Ashburn, aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Mary Beth,
Aye.
and Daryl.
Aye.
And the mayor's also aye. Sabrina, thank you again for bringing this forward and working these grants into everything, into this. It's important to keep getting that money, and we'll participate as often as we can. Because this is, again, the military is important to the neighborhood.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is another MOU for Regional Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Do we have somebody? Or are you taking the lead on this one?
All right. Well, hold on one second. I want to pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
I don't. Give me one sec. Oh, there we go. Basically, this is a formalization of what we kind of just talked about earlier about the town's participation with with SoLoco. And this, and just looking at the duties of the town real quickly, is appoint 2 stakeholders to serve on that Regional Housing Trust Fund Steering Committee, and to review, approve, and remit all payments for their prorated share of the Housing Trust Fund consultant in a timely manner. The county's duties are pretty straightforward. Provide copies of the detailed invoices and notify the town of any violations. Real meat and potatoes is obviously in the upper portion where the whereases are, which kind of gives you a description of why we truly need to create this housing trust fund, all the issues that you just spoke about regarding the lack of inventory and concerns that we have. So.
Right, and we already approved the resolution, so this memorandum of understanding is just how you're going to work with the other governmental agencies on getting this all done?
Correct.
Because we've already approved the expenditures with the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Council have any questions for Van? Then what's the pleasure of council?
Make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding in regards to the Regional Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Thank you,
I'll
Jerry.
second.
We have a motion. And Daryl, was that you?
I second.
Thank you, Daryl. We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? And we'll go ahead and call for the question. Jerry, lead us off, please.
Jerry Ashburn, aye.
Phillips, aye.
Mary Beth, I lost you there.
She was muted, but she here. Aye.
Daryl is aye.
I'm aye.
There we go. Thank you. Mayor's also aye. It's unanimous. Very good. And
Backing to my iPad fell off.
next item is the December holiday activities. The time is here. So Van, what's your thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to get a feel from council how y'all would like to proceed with the traditional activities that we undertake normally that first Wednesday of each month of December, where we do a Christmas tree lighting, and then obviously we have a visit from Santa. And additionally, we also traditionally have a town Christmas party for staff and family, and that's something we need to think about because of limitations, indoor limitations, interaction limitations. As far as the Christmas tree lighting goes, I think that's something certainly that we should continue. I think because it's outdoors and we can make sure that people are properly socially distancing, that's something that's pretty easily done. But I definitely wanted to get y'all's input on the other items.
I'll start. As far as the Christmas tree lighting, I agree. It's an outdoor event. We're allowed, you can easily have up to 250 people. Anybody that voted here yesterday at town hall, there was, half that standing in line. Everybody was easy to say social distance. I think that's an event we can have, and we can only hope that Santa hears us and decides to make a visit that night and join us for that evening. I'm for that moving forward. What's the rest of the council's thoughts?
I second that. I truly believe we need to keep that tradition going.
So what date are you looking at? To December 2, 2nd December?
I think it'll be second, right? Is that's the first Wednesday of the month?
That's normally when we do it. Yeah. Yeah, it's in lieu of the
Council meeting,
workshop.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think this is a festive time of the year, and a lot of people, of course, are just dealing with the anxiety of COVID-19. I think also with our continuance of this tradition outside, I think it would definitely ease some of that anxiety and help the people, really get back into the celebration mode of the holiday.
So Van, what would you propose? I mean, how would this go? How would this, what in your mind, how would you draw this up?
I'm still thinking about it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I think we can get some
I was thinking
recording,
we do a
some
Christmas
roping.
lighting. We sing some Christmas songs. I know last year we didn't get the school involved, but we talked to them early enough. Maybe we could get them involved. But and then if we do have a special guest, he comes in with Ross and his guys from the fire department. I mean, how do we handle that? How does that work? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there for people to think about. Maybe it's a rhetorical question. I just don't know how that works.
Right. And see, and you also, there's still a cap, I believe, and I have to research this, but obviously you can get exceptions to the whole 250 person thing. But logistically, you can still put bags together. How people would interact with the special guest might need to be modified.
Yes.
So
black.
And
nice,
how people,
I'm sure Santa's elves could help with a little chute off the fire truck that the bags drop into the young person's hands. We can figure them out here. Let's get together and think about that.
Yeah, let's think outside the box. Yes.
Yeah, we're good at that. We're good at that. We'll work that out. I think let's see what we can do here and
maybe we can design a special chute exactly, then Santa can just drop it in that chute and it comes like a PVC pipe or something that slides on down into their.
You got it. Yeah. And as far as the Christmas party goes, so this is my thought on that. Restaurants are open 100% at this point in time. It's really up to the restaurants. Buffets are still an issue, but maybe we can find someplace that can work with us to do a limited menu and do it more, not as a buffet style, but as a sit down, and we can still kind of get together. Maybe it's something that's got a little bit of an outdoor space that we can meet first and talk, and then go in and have a little meal. What's your thought, Council? I mean,
and probably not buffet, maybe prepared or prepackaged or something. That's all.
Staff's worked very hard through this very difficult times. They've kept this city running in all ways. Our first responders, our city hall staff, our public works staff. I think if we can find a way to make this happen, we should try to do it. Any thoughts?
I agree. I'm sorry, Mayor. I agree with that. I think they look forward to that every year. And, if nothing else, I feel like we owe them some little something like that. I mean, I'd hate to take the Christmas party that everybody looks so forward to away. And there's got to be something we can do to continue that same tradition for them.
I'd like for us to find a way to make it happen.
I think I'm hearing a positive on this. Jerry?
Daryl?
Yeah, I think it's important. I agree with everything everyone said. I think we just need to be very careful and really think this thing through.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with what everybody said, but last thing I want is us to do something, and then the next thing you know, we've got issues. Nobody wants that. Nobody.
Perhaps it'd be an outside venue that's catered, and have them serve instead of us serving.
Let's see what we can work out. We could, I don't believe in the past that you have only been to one. So, have you restricted attendees? Is it spouse?
Yeah, we've, normally it's been pretty open. I mean, there's, if somebody shows up with 3 or 4, we're fine with that. We make it work. But yeah, if it's, Something we want to think about. And I understand Jerry's point. We have a responsibility as a governmental entity to act responsibly and within the parameters of the law. So, that's like I said earlier, logistically, we just have to figure out how that would work.
And I guess what we're asking you to do is see if that works, because I go back to just, if the entire staff decided to go to the same restaurant one night, the restaurants are open. We all know what we have to do. We have to wear masks when we walk in, but once we sit down, I think logistically, let's see what we can come up with here. Did I cut somebody off there? I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine, Mayor. I agree with Jerry. I mean, we've just passed that mask ordinance again for another 30 days. And, as we are in charge of the community, making sure they're safe, I think we have to abide by the rules ourselves. And Jerry, you're 100% correct. We do need to look at that and consider that when we consider having this party.
That's all.
And Van, maybe it is an outside. I don't know. Nobody knows what the temperature is going to be like or anything like that. But I don't know. We just need to put some thought into it just to make sure that we're doing the right thing. We're setting example. We're not encouraging large gatherings, and then we have a lot of people get sick. We don't want that. Nobody wants that.
I think about the two fire stations, the bays. Could you open it up, set up something, do a little, like you said, a little, box type of meal, just so that we can be out there, have a little conversation, move on. Is there something like that available? Let's think again, make sure we're following the rules. Nobody's saying break any rules here, but is there a way for us to thank the staff and for the staff to get together and celebrate this holiday? If there is, let's do it. If there isn't, then we don't do it.
Well, I mean, if we didn't do it, then you just, in my opinion, you're thinking out of the box, you get a gift card for the staff to a local restaurant and they go at their leisure. They go to you pick four or five restaurants in town, in Port Royal, Madison's, and
I like that idea. Let's patronize our
maybe that's something to think about. I don't know. I'm just throwing some stuff out there we're just discussion.
That's what this is about, discussing, trying to figure out a way, but I think we're all, man, I hope we get you some direction.
That's definitely a positive way of promoting and supporting our local vendors, right? Letting them know we appreciate them, and that budget that's been allocated to feed the families and our employees, we can take that and just give it to each employee and say, hey, these are the 4 restaurants or whatever restaurants that we select in our area, in our town. And I'm sure that those businesses would appreciate that as well.
And I could almost see us having a big bonfire at Live Oaks Park and just having a drop in from 6 to 8. And
I said that earlier too.
And the managers and staff being there and just, having it real casual, real light, and let just people kind of come and go. And we thank you and we wear masks and we social distance. And here, thank you. Here's a gift card for a local restaurant. We appreciate you.
That sounds great. I think, the key, I think the conversation here is we want to do something. Let's find out a way to do it that meets the rules and that we can get together. I think that's a great option, Jerry and Daryl. I think that's a great one. So let's figure out how we can make it happen.
Perfect.
Okay. Item 11.
Another option that we can have dinner on one of the cruise ships.
Hey, there you go, baby.
Take a cruise around Port Royal Harbor.
That's it.
You're really thinking outside the box there, Darryl. I like that. So item 11 on our agenda is some important dates. Tuesday, November 17th, 4:30 Redevelopment Commission. Thursday and Friday, November 26th, all town offices will be closed for Thanksgiving.
How about Wednesday, November the 11th? I believe we're shut down that day as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Veterans Day.
Arms Day, Veterans Day.
We missed that one.
I also have one more Tuesday, November 10th at 5:30 p.m. Parks and Rec will be getting together at the Cypress Wetlands Amphitheater for their first meeting in a while.
Very good.
Are they meeting at the Cypress? Okay.
Okay. Appreciate you guys adding those other two. And council comment. Daryl, you were stuck last all night, so go first now.
Like to express our condolences to the Parker family in the passing of Calvin, who was very influential and in the community, and so certainly I send our expressions of condolences to the Parker family. Van, I know you said also you're going to look into contacting DOT. I'm still getting some concerns about Johnny Morale Circle. I noticed that the people that's on the residential side has already trimmed back their along the fencing and so forth, but I got a question about that again. And I know that's DOT, it's the DOT maintained road. So I said that I would mention it again, so.
And that's the issue of getting the crossing, or?
No, Johnny Morale Circle, just cutting all that underbrush.
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I can hit them with that again.
Yeah, it's in the roadway, yeah.
There is a, Daryl, if you weren't aware, and sometimes this seems to work pretty good, there's a way on the DOT website that you can actually request maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about if you use that, it seems to work pretty good because it becomes a little tracking mechanism that they monitor. And I'll try to see if I can't find that link and I'll email it to you.
And I can give it to those individuals also so that they can flood them as well.
Absolutely. I'll try to find that link for you and send it to you.
Thank you.
Kevin, you got anything?
No, sir.
Maribeth?
Nope. Thank you, Daryl, for reminding us that we needed to keep the Parker family in our prayers. Calvin was a great person and did a lot for Port Royal, and he will surely be missed on Parker Day. He was very instrumental in carrying on the Parker tradition. And so we do keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And thank you all, council, just because I think that us trying to come up with solutions to thank our employees, I think it's important that our employees know that they mean a lot to us, because what they do every year, it really makes us look good and makes our jobs easier. So I know Linda puts in a lot of hours with what she does, and Brooke, and and the fire department, police departments, they're away from their families and never know what they're headed into. And, I just think they do a fabulous job in our town, and there's got to be some way that we can thank them. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Jerry, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll just echo the sentiments with the Parker family. Calvin was special to all of us. He was special to the town. I know we've got special memories of him that will always hold in our hearts. Secondly, the bigger picture on the election national stage, I want to talk about on the local stage. I know a lot has changed locally, and at some point, Van, I hope we can get together with our folks over at the city of Beaufort. This year, I know it's been kind of awkward, kind of strange, and kind of hard to get together, but we do need to, at some point, figure out how to do some joint meetings with them. We've done that in the past, and congratulations to their new mayor and the 2 new council members over there. So I know they're going to hit the ground running, but somehow I wanted to figure out how we can engage with them as we move forward, in 2021, even with the COVID restrictions that we have in place. That's all I have.
Thank you. I have nothing else to add at this time, other than, I'd like to thank the staff again for kind of working around another election at this town hall. I know it's a difficult thing and a lot of people come through the building, but you guys have organized it and had it well, and stayed out of the way, which is the key to the whole thing to making it happen. We'll open it up for public comment at this point. Brooke, do we have anything?
Mayor, the only thing we have is on Facebook, Ms. Eileen Newton. She asked, how would the town feel about having something to promote the vendors and museum during the holidays? Like a special holiday nights like Beaufort does for First Fridays.
Anybody have any thoughts? Can you take that comment for us and switch it to an email and send it to us all so we can start thinking about that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
There was another question as to why public comments happen after we vote. And I think it's probably misconstrued because after we've had a public workshop earlier that afforded the public an opportunity to have questions. And I think when this may be interpreted here, when we took council action on those items, there was no discussion after then, because the fact is because we had the public hearing prior to our discussion.
Correct. Thanks for clarifying that, because I thought I tried to mention that was why, but you're right. This public comment that we hear at the end is non-agenda items. That's for anybody listening. That's what we have this last public comment. For any items while we're doing these virtual meetings, there is, if you go to the agenda, there is an email address that you can send those comments in. Brooke, make sure we all see them and read those public comments as well. So thank you for doing that. And at this point, if there is nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. The agenda is complete, so all we need is a single motion. No
So
second.
move.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
for the
Good night,
work,
everyone.
and we'll see everybody
safe.
soon.
Good night,
See you
everybody.
Good night. Be
Bye.
safe.